All right, welcome into the Thomas Fitch Show presented by 1 and O Sports. Got a great episode for y'all today. We're going to be talking Texas basketball. Finally in their little two-game skid, pick up a big win against Kansas. But is that going to be enough for Shaka? We'll talk about that. We're also going to look at Bru McCoy coming to Texas, the impacts of that on the lineups. After that, we'll bring in guest and want-to-know blogger Matt Marinchak to break down the Super Bowl, looking at the preview of it, some storylines, making some predictions, and, of course, talking about all the best prop bets that are out there for the Super Bowl. And then we'll wrap up with two new segments that I'll get to in a little bit, and, of course, the fun fact of the week. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so let's get started with Texas basketball. And, obviously thrilled that Texas able to get the win against Kansas last night. But there's a little part of me that was bummed only because I had kind of planned this little rundown after the Georgia game and, was all ready for, okay, Texas basketball, it's over, season's over, fire Shaka, it's done. And I'll get to what Texas needs to do with Shaka in a little bit, but I want to break down kind of what happened in the two games and what changed between the two games. I won't talk much about the TCU game. I actually didn't watch it. I was busy, but that was pretty close, kind of typical of Texas, just falling short on the road. Moving forward towards the Georgia game, it was a different game for Texas when you look at what happened and the results. The final score, Georgia won 98-88. And it was the opposite of what usually happens for Texas. They played offense, shot 43% from the three-point line, 48% from the field. But on the other side, Georgia shot 67% from the field, 70% from the three-point line. They had better chance of making a three-point shot than any shot from inside the arc. That's crazy. And to an extent, the blame, you can't quite blame a team for giving up 98 points when a team is shooting 70% from beyond the three-point line. It's like playing the Warriors when they're hot. There comes an extent to where there's not much you can do. What disappointed me about that game is when you watch it, it didn't feel like Shaka made many adjustments to get the guys to guard the perimeter. And that's something that it's a simple adjustment to make. And that's a criticism I've heard about Shaka is his lack of in-game adjustments. He kind of has a game plan that he has before the game and he sticks with it. You look at the best teams, they flip their game plans back and forth. I mean, you watched Kansas last night. They went zone to man to zone, back and forth, whatever was working with the personnel on the court and whatever was working just the way the game was played. And, I can't quite I can analyze basketball from a fan perspective, but I've never really played it, so I can't break down in depth. But that's just what I've heard. And when you watch Texas, especially offensively, it just feels like there's never any game plan, and there never has been a game plan since year one with Shaka. But what went right against Kansas is the fact that Texas finally played a complete game. They didn't play great offensively, but defensively, one of the better games of the season. And, I've said this before, yeah, defense is great, but you got to score points to win a game. And Texas does do that. They put up 73, but, you look at what they did defensively. They forced 13 turnovers. They were swarming the ball, forcing, last-second shots at the end of the shot clock because they were playing, 30 seconds of great defense. Kansas shot 43%, 33% from beyond the three-point line, and that's one of those things where, Kansas had some open looks that just didn't fall. Texas, a better night shooting, 35% from the three-point line, 42 from the field. Not a great night from the field, but improved three-point shooting. And I was tweeting during this game that Texas was going to need somebody to step up if they wanted to have a chance in this game. And I said a guy like Kerwin Roach. Well, not that Roach didn't have a great game, but, he didn't have a great game. He 15 points, but 3 of 13 shooting. So wasn't the best shooting percentage. But who stepped up were guys that I was not expecting. You look at Dylan Ozakowski has 16 points, 4 rebounds. Really an efficient night, 5 of 10 shooting. Didn't 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Still can't shoot that. But he did such a good job of actually being able to score when he was close to the basket. He got to the line. He was 6 of 6 from free throws. That's another thing. This team, 21 of 23 from free throws. This team has struggled all season to shoot from the free throw line. Being able to shoot 91% from there, 21 points. If they shot their normal, 60% what they normally shoot, that's, I'm not good at math. This is not a math podcast, but it's a lot closer game. Kansas might even win it. They make their free throws. Ozakowski comes in with 16. Febris finishes with 12. He's 4 of 8 from beyond the arc. Hits 3 clutch threes in the last 6 minutes of play. So it's great to see other guys stepping up. It's felt like in the past, if you wanted to win, Roach was going to have to be the one to step up. We saw that against OU. He steps up, they win. Doesn't play great against TCU and Georgia, and they lose. But being able to have other guys to step up and take the reins of this team certainly helps. But let's move on to Shaka because, you look at Texas, 12-9 overall, 4-4 in conference. You got to figure 2021 wins, probably a win in conference, in the conference tournament helps that as well. You figure that's what it takes to get them in the tournament. And, I've said this before, if Shaka wants to stick around, he's got to make the tournament, 1. And 2, he's got to win a game in the tournament. What I've heard is that CDC Del Conte has Shaka's back. But if Shaka can't make the tournament, there's no reason he should be around. There's no reason that in 4 years you've only made the tournament twice. You have no tournament wins to show for that. And it's not like there's increased excitement for next year. So if Texas doesn't make the tournament, they're gone. And another thing to look at with the Kansas game is, Texas played good and it was a good win, but it was at home. Texas has played good at home. You look at their losses. Last couple games, lose to Georgia on the road, lose to TCU on the road, lose to Kansas on the road, lose to Oklahoma State on the road. Their last couple wins, West Virginia at home, Oklahoma at home, Kansas at home. Shaka's got to be able to get his guys to win on the road. You got a big matchup against Iowa State on the road this weekend. You're going to West Virginia in a couple weeks. You still have to play at Oklahoma, at Baylor, and at Texas Tech. And so you look at this. This is a team that needs, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games left, and they got to win. They really got to win 5 of those games to finish 9-9 in conference. I don't. If they make the tournament, it's going to be an 18-19 wins. I think. 20 is usually, if you get to 20, you're pretty safe. But it's going to be hard for them to. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just double checking my counting because again, math is hard. 10 games left. There's no way they're winning 8 or 9 of those. But to win 4 of those, now they do have 5 of those games are at home. They're going to have to win all of those home games. But when you're trying to prove your resume, you got to be able to show you can win on the road. And if they can't win some of these games on the road, I don't think they make the tournament. And if they don't make the tournament, Shaka's got to be gone. Even if they make the tournament, I just don't know if there's enough trust in Shaka. I know Del Conte has his back. And here's the thing about Shaka. I like him. He's a great guy. He's a guy who wants to develop these guys, not just on the court, but off the court. And I respect that because that's what you want in a coach. But here's the deal. When you're paying the guy 3, 5, however many $1 million you're paying him, you got to get some results. And it's not like he can say he hasn't had talent. He's had talent. Jared Allen, look what he's doing in the NBA. Mo Bamba. Jackson Hayes is going to be a top 15 prospect. He's had talent. And even if you say, okay, yeah, he's had talent in the 4s and 5 positions, he's never really gone at, and I know Matt Coleman was supposed to turn into something that he hasn't quite. And I know he got at Isaiah Taylor the last year, so he didn't. But I have not seen Shaka do a good job of developing players well. I'll say this. He's done a good job freshman development. Coleman, good development last year. Sims, good development last year. Hayes, good development this year. But Sims and Coleman have leveled off. Ozakowski has leveled off. Febris has leveled off. Roach has improved a little bit, but not enough. Roach came back this season to try to be able to be a first-round pick in the NBA draft. He hasn't developed enough. That's on Shaka and his guys. That's your job as a coach is to develop these guys. And when you're at Texas, I know Texas isn't quite a blue blood, but they're getting 4- and 5-star recruits year after year after year. You got to be able to win if you're doing that. And if Shaka can't make the tournament, if he can't win games in the tournament, there's no reason to keep him around. There are way better guys out there that can win games in the tournament. Look at Chris Beard. Chris Beard can do that. Kelvin Sampson at Houston. Now, I'm not saying I necessarily want to go after him. He's 63, but he can do that. Eric Musselman at Nevada. He showed that last year when he beat us in the tournament. And we have a comment from Sean Mapes. He says, it'd be Shaka. He says it'd be a Shaka if Coach Smart doesn't get fired this year. And that's our famed recurring guest, Sean Mapes, with the pun there. But I do think he should be fired. If he can make the tournament and go on a run, keep him around. But I just don't think that happens. All right, let's move on to some Texas football recruiting. And the big news this happened last Thursday, so right the day after the last podcast. The big news is that Bru McCoy announces he's transferring from Texas to USC. McCoy, the number 9 national prospect, according to 24/7 Sports, athlete. Not sure. I believe he'll probably play receiver, but also played some DB in high school. Originally committed to USC, but after Cliff Kingsbury left to go to the Cardinals, Bru had a change of mind. We've known that his mom was really high on UT, and so he has transferred. And it is my belief that he'll be able to play this season. I'm not sure if they've made the ruling there, but it's the kind of situation similar to when Devin Duvernay transferred from Baylor after the Art Briles situation, where he gets the exemption from having to sit out a year because there was a coach leaving. But it's huge for Texas. It bumps them up over OU, over A&M to number 3 in the 24/7 rankings. And my favorite thing is seeing all these Aggies on Twitter that are like, oh, he transferred. It doesn't count for class rankings. And people are like, well, should Jalen Hurts count as OU's class this year? Two things. First of all, if you want to throw Jalen Hurts and put him back in 2016 or whatever class he's in and say, oh, OU actually finished this good in 2016. But here's the deal. Who cares if it, and this is the most Aggie thing, and Longhorn Twitter has gotten into it, but it doesn't matter if Texas is number 3 or not, or if Bru's counting or not. He's going to be playing for Texas. And that's big whether Texas gets to say they finished 3rd or 5th in the 24/7 rank. It doesn't matter. He's coming to Texas, and that's big. It helps. It's going to give him more talent at wide receiver, possibly cornerback if he plays there. But with LJ leaving, it just gives you another app. I mean, you got him, you got Whittington to work around these young guys who are fast, have speed, super versatile. So really exciting to get him, and just huge to get, another guy from out of state. And so getting a California guy, Herman's done such a good job recruiting out of state, especially in a year where the recruits in Texas, there just weren't a ton of great recruits. And I think that'll just about, we'll see what happens if Javon Shepard, he's a commit to Texas. He's the last commit who is not signed. We'll see if he'll stick with Texas. But, the interesting thing about the early signing period, and I think this is where it's nice, is the fact that, Tom Herman and his staff have said, okay, we're going to sign everybody we can. We'll have 2 guys left. We'll work on them. But for the most part, they've moved on to 2020. So they're getting a head start on 2020. And a lot of teams are doing this too. But everybody's getting a head start on recruiting, and Tom Herman's done a good job. Texas has been offering a lot of guys. They had kind of a little makeshift junior day, bringing guys in 2 weekends ago when Texas played OU in basketball. So I think early signing period has been good for Tom Herman. Getting Bru McCoy is huge. And all I can say is Texas is better recruiting class than A&M or OU. Let's get to our interview with Matt. Really good. We're breaking down the Super Bowl. Matt wrote a blog for One of Those Sports last week about some of the officiating and some of the debatable calls. Really good. Make sure you go and check that out. But let's get to that interview. All right, we now welcome on guest and Want to Know Sports member, Matt Marinchak, to talk some Super Bowl. Before we get to that, you did have a blog post, so, one of our, I guess we can call it employees. I mean, none of us are making money here, but a good blog post talking about some of the calls that led to the Super Bowl. But let's get started talking about the Super Bowl and some storylines. Obviously, big one, old versus young. When you look at that, where do you give the edge as far as age with Belichick? I mean, you look at Belichick 66, Sean McVay 33, double Belichick, double McVay's edge. So who do you give the edge in that matchup?
I want to say Belichick, but McVay's he has a unique system. And
Right.
He's one of the new young stars.
Yep.
I think I'd give him a slight edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coaching wise, but playing wise, I think I gotta go with Patriots.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit. But I mean, you look at just some of the crazy stats. Jared Goff was in 3rd grade when Brady won his first Super Bowl. I mean, that's insane. When Sean McVay was born, Belichick had been coaching for 11 years. He was defensive coordinator for the Giants and had won his first Super Bowl as a coach. And that was by 1986 when McVay was born. So it's just crazy. You look at the age difference between the quarterbacks, between the coaches in this game.
That's one of the main storylines. Basically, Belichick's been doing this most of McVay's life.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough, but McVay, something tells me it's going to be McVay having the edge. Yeah,
and he's certainly done a great job coaching so far this season. One of the interesting things is when you look at their friendship, and this is a great quote that McVay said about their Belichick and McVay's friendship this season. He said, "He was really great in the conversation we had, really enlightening," McVay said. McVay goes, "This is wild. This season, he has basically texted me after every one of our games. After we beat Minnesota in September, he texted, 'Man, you guys are really explosive and impressive and fun to watch. Congratulations. Keep it rolling.'" And now they're facing off against each other.
Yeah, so that's interesting. They seem like they're good friends.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tough matchup between them two, coaching-wise.
Right, well, and they're kind of different. The teams play more similar styles this year as far as both are kind of more offense-heavy, but Belichick not a super offensive guy, whereas McVay, that's all he's been. That's all he's been is being offensive. So it will be interesting. Another storyline, Tom Brady is getting old. Do you think there's a chance he retires after this game?
Well, as Brady says, 0 chance.
Does that mean 0 chance, though?
Yeah. He wants to keep playing till he's 45. He's only 41 right now, or 40.
Right.
I'll give him another 2 years.
Yeah. Do you think there's anything in him that if he wins, he says, "You know what? I'm going to go out on top with"? No.
He just wants to keep going, getting better and going.
Yeah. I think here's what I think is going to happen. I think if he wins, I wouldn't be surprised if he steps out for a little bit. Not for a lot, like a couple months. He says he retires, then all of a sudden goes, "You know what? I want to keep playing." Because he has that competitive edge that, you see it with guys like Brett Favre, Michael Jordan, these great players that they don't know what to do when they stop playing. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he says he's going to retire and then he comes out of retirement.
If he does that, I think he's going to do that after next year. He'll play one more season, then he'll step away for a little bit and come back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if I'm a Patriots fan, I certainly don't want him to retire. As far as when you look at not a real good answer, on the depth chart.
Yeah.
And not really good answers in the draft class this year. There's some good guys. Who knows what's going to happen with Kyler Murray?
Yeah, but the Patriots are going to be 31st or 32nd pick. They're not going
to right by that point. You're not getting them. Now, to be fair, you give me the Patriots front office. You give me Bill Belichick. I don't care what quarterback you have. They're going to do something with them.
Yeah.
But it's going to be huge when they lose Brady.
My theory is Belichick's going to retire before Brady does.
You think so?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I mean, if Brady does play to 45, because I think he's 41 right now. If he does play to 45, I could see that happening. Belichick 66. I could see him retiring in a year or two. I think there's a good chance they go at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
In a couple of years, 2 years from now they win another Super Bowl. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Belichick kind of wants to prove he can win without Brady.
Yeah, because he hasn't really done that without Brady.
Neither have. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick says, I still got a couple more years in me. Let me get another quarterback, get him started. And whether you win with him or not, at least say, hey, this guy who's now going to be playing for 20 years in the league, I was the one who developed him.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if he said that. All right, so let's go into some game breakdowns, offensive, defensive edge. We'll start offense. Who do you give the offensive edge to in this game?
The Rams.
Yeah.
Towards the midpoint of the season when their Patriots dropped a few games to the Dolphins, they lost to somebody else too. Brady wasn't playing good.
Right.
It looks like he was struggling.
Right.
Age has hit him. The last few games, he's been doing better.
Oh yeah.
But the Rams, have been slouching the last few games. But the whole first 6-7 games, they were on fire. Best offense in the NFL.
Yep.
I think they're going to reignite it this week and have the offensive edge.
Yeah, I think you look at players. Rams definitely more talented that way. Obviously Brady more talented than Goff, but Todd Gurley, C.J. Anderson, the way he's played the last couple weeks, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, so many options for Goff to throw to. Whereas, and not slighting Edelman or those guys, but Patriots have guys that nobody else wants. They bring them in,
and they turn good,
and they develop them. Now, also the Patriots have Gronk.
I think Gronk might retire after the season.
I would, Gronk's one of those fun guys because he doesn't really care what's going on.
Yeah.
And the funny he's a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's either he is not, it's his earnings from football or his earnings from advertisements. One of those he has not spent, and he just has used the other one.
Yeah.
So he's well set. He's a good personality.
He's been talking about this for years, retiring.
Yeah.
I think it'd be
if
smart
they
for him to
win,
retire
if
now.
they win, he goes out on top.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The way he is. All right, let's move to defensive side. I don't think there's going to be a lot of that played in this game, but who do you give the edge there?
The Rams have more young talent, but Belichick's a more defensive-minded coach, and he shut down Tyreek Hill last week. He shut down the Chargers.
Right.
I think Belichick's gonna have a defensive edge in the Patriots.
Yeah, I think Aaron Donald is kind of Aaron Donald, and then the rest of the Rams defense.
Yeah.
And they have some other guys out there. They got some veterans like Aqib Talib playing cornerback, but
Marcus Peters isn't what he used to be on the Chiefs.
No.
All pro on the Chiefs, comes to the Rams, hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, they've really struggled giving up passes over the top, and that's something you can't do. We saw what happened with the Chiefs last week. They couldn't stop Edelman on the same little route.
Third and 10 every single time.
Just a little cut route. I agree. I think that you got to give the edge to the Patriots there.
Yeah.
All right, so the big question, who do you have winning this game?
It's going to be tough, but I say Rams 38, Patriots 31.
Oh, okay. I could see that. Part of me wants to say Rams, but I'm wrong a lot on this show, but I've been saying kind of for a long time that I think the Rams are a good team and they're going to be good in the future.
Yeah.
I just think they're too young. And clearly they've proven that wrong so far in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But going up against a team as experienced as the Patriots, a coach as experienced as Bill Belichick, I just think the Patriots win this. I think it'll be close.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's going to happen is Rams jump out to an early lead. Second half, Patriots come back. I'll say 34-28, something like that. Patriots win.
I say, if the Rams play like they played the first 7 games, offense.
Oh yeah, it's impossible to stop them.
If they play like they played against the Saints last week, they're not winning this game.
No way. All right, so let's final thing here. Let's look at some of the best prop bets because that is maybe the best part of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we're just gonna kind of go down these and make our predictions for those who bet on these things.
Yeah.
All right, so the first one, we'll start off pretty simple. How many times will the broadcast mention Sean McVay's age? Over under at 1.5.
Over.
You gotta take
over.
the over. They're gonna bring. It's Jim Nantz and Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Those guys, they love their storylines. They're gonna be bringing it up. Take the over. Speaking of Tony Romo, how many plays will Tony Romo correctly predict during the game? Over under set at 7.5.
Under.
You're going under?
Yeah.
Well, so here's the thing, and, obviously after last week and, last season too, he did this a bunch. But, he's kind of blown up on, he's predicting every play. And a lot of people have been like, most coaches could do that too when you look at the players who are set. So based off that, what does predicting a play mean? If it's like run to the right and they run to the right, take the over. Yeah. If it's like run to the right, cut back or something like that, then that's a little harder. But I would take the over here just because that's, especially after the AFC Championship game, CBS is just going to be telling Tony, you got to keep doing this because this is what fans want to see. Yeah. All right, next one. This is kind of football related. How many interceptions will Jared Goff throw? Over-unders at 0.5.
Over.
Yeah. I think both quarterbacks throw. I think that's the only way defense is going to show up in this game, I think, is going to be turnovers.
Yeah, like, he'll have 2 picks.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. How many pass attempts will Tom Brady have? Over-under there is 37.5. That's high.
Yeah, like, they've been having a good run game last few games. I'll take the under.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're going to try to beat the Rams on the ground.
Yeah.
You got Sony Michel going up against former teammate Todd Gurley. He said this week he really wants to beat his old teammate. So I take the under there too. I think they're going to try to beat him with the run game. Yeah. Let's get to some of the absolutely pointless ones. Coin toss, heads or tails?
Tails? Like
tails never fails.
Yep.
Now some may argue tails always fails, but you got to go with tails. Yeah. Now here's the one caveat to that: if you're playing Madden, and Madden heads always wins. I don't have a fun rhyme for that. That's the problem with heads. I mean heads. I got nothing, but tails never fails. Yeah, I'm putting my money on tails. Looking at the halftime show, what will be the predominant color of Adam Levine's top at the start of the halftime show? It's minus 200 is black, i.e. if you bet, you have to bet $2 to make $1. Any other color plus 150. So if you bet $1, you'll get $1.50. I'm going to say any other color. I'm actually going to say white. It's going to be white.
People bet on this stuff?
I know. That's why this is the most pointless thing we have. People bet on this.
I'm just going to say black.
Black.
I wouldn't put my money on it.
I wouldn't put my money on any of these things. This is a fun one. Will any performer fall down during the show? Yes, plus 500. No, minus 900.
When's the last time it's happened?
I don't know, but you got to root for someone falling, right?
Yeah.
You got to root for them falling. Plus 500. Put a couple dollars on that. Make some money if someone falls.
Yeah.
This is my favorite prop bet of the year. What color will the Gatorade be that they pour on the winning coach? You look at it. Wow. So the leading odds is clear, which kind of surprises me. Plus 250. Yeah. Yellow. Your lemon lime plus 300. That's pretty typical. Red plus 600. Blue plus 400. Purple plus 900. Green plus 700. And orange plus 400. I'm feeling orange.
I'm only feeling blue because both teams have blue in their colors.
Yeah.
So they might just do that.
Yeah. This is one of those where, like, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were, like, talking to, like, somebody who worked for either team, and they're like, hey, by the way, what color Gatorade do they normally use just, for no reason? Yeah. I'm going to go with orange on that. But yellow's usually just kind of the base color.
This is generic, yeah.
This is one I'm kind of surprised where they set the odds at. The question is, or the bet is, will they show the missed pass interference from the Saints-Rams game? And the underdog is for them to show it, plus 200.
They're obviously going to show
it. They're gonna. They have to. I mean, I would take the over if they said like 1.5 times of how many times they're going to show it.
If they're going to show it a few times.
They're going to show
a commercial, like.
If there was one bet, and I'm not telling anybody to bet, if there was one bet for you to put money on, it is this bet right here with plus 200.
Like, you're winning money.
They're gonna like. It's not even like they're gonna show highlights from the Chiefs Patriots game too. Like I would be very surprised. So put some money on this, but don't blame me because what do I know? How many times will they show Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady's wife? Over under 2.5 times? You got to go with the over.
Yeah.
I think, especially if it's a close game and with all the talk of Brady retiring, they love to cut to the wife when they're talking about retiring. I think over.
Especially if they win. They're sure, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Couple more. This is a fun one. That doesn't really have anything to do with the Super Bowl, but will Louisiana attorney Frank D'Amico Jr. He's the one who's suing the NFL for the missed pass interference call, for emotional distress or anything. His question is, will he win his lawsuit over the missed call in the NFC Championship game? It is plus 2,500 yes, no minus 10,000, i.e., you would have to bet, I'm not good at math here, but you'd have to bet like $100 to get $1 if you were to say no. But if you were to bet $1, you can make like $25 or something. 25? I don't know.
Something like that,
Math
yeah.
is hard. We're journalism and RTX. We don't do math. Basically, you can make a lot of money if you bet yes and he wins, but
He's not winning.
he's not
Like,
going to win that.
There's
no
reason
way
why
he's
he
winning
wins
that
his lawsuit.
case. No. Okay, this is my favorite one. I can't believe there are actually odds for this. But for those of y'all who haven't seen the Fire Festival documentary, the creator of it, Billy McFarland, basically what happened is he planned this festival in the Bahamas. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Plans this festival in the Bahamas, scams a bunch of people. None of the artists show up. It's supposed to be this like super luxury like experience, and all the people show up. They've paid like tens of thousands of dollars, and they show up, and there's like these refugee tents. There's like crappy food, no water, a ton of alcohol. And he's just now he's in jail for like 6 years, but I think he's out on bail right now.
Yeah.
So the question is, will Firefest organizer Billy McFarland get caught selling counterfeit Super Bowl tickets?
I want to say no, but it will be funny if he does.
Yeah.
Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, at the end of the Hulu documentary, you see that when he was out on bail, he was trying to scam people for like tickets to like emailing people about tickets to the Met Gala, tickets to like Victoria's Secret Fashion, like all these things that you literally can't even buy tickets for. They're like invite only, and he was like scamming them. So if that happened, that'd be the funniest
that'd
thing.
be the best thing.
The fact that it's 2019 and we're betting on if this guy, this scammer, is gonna be caught selling this stuff. The fact that people are gonna put money on this.
Yeah.
Like I guarantee
without a
you,
doubt.
somebody's gonna put down $100 on the yes.
Yeah. And they'll probably win a lot of money.
What a time to be alive.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, Super Bowl should be good. Matt, thanks for joining us. Y'all make sure you go to 1-0 Sports and check out Matt's blog. We'll have a bunch more blogs up in the future. But thanks for joining us, Matt.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so let's get to some segments. We have a couple news segments this week, and I'm just trying to get some more segments in there because, when you listen to other podcasts, the interesting thing about them is the sports knowledge is fun, but you gotta work some fun into the show. So the first one, this is the new one. It's called That Doesn't Exist, and these are just things that when you really think about them, it's like there's no way that exists, and that doesn't exist for today is television, and not just television, but especially streaming videos. So a lot of y'all are streaming this on your phones. You're watching me from a completely. I mean, you could be watching me on the other side of the world right now, live. If I wanted to, I could be watching, any sporting event or anything going on in China right now, or Russia, or Europe, that's magic. No one can convince me that when I'm holding my phone like this, and it's late at night and I'm watching, whenever they have the PGA Tour in like Malaysia, I'm sitting there watching the HSBC Classic. I'm watching it on my phone. And it's coming from China or Malaysia, wherever the tournament is. That's literally a 13-hour flight away from like San Francisco. Not even it's like a 20-hour flight from San Antonio. You can't fly out of international. The point is, far away, and I'm watching it on like a 30-second, minute-long delay. Like these things are happening on my phone. There's graphics, there's colors, there's like crystal clear. And people say that's technology and ones and zeros. And it's magic. There's no way that TV, that streaming things on your phone, that's like science or engineering. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they're magicians. They go, watch TV. And you watch TV? And now we don't need them to do it. We say, Alexa, play the game. And she plays the game. It's fascinating. But there's no doubt in my mind, there's no way you could tell me that TV isn't magic. That streaming stuff on your phone isn't magic. It just, and I'm sure people are going to come up to me after this and be like, Oh, let me explain to you. It's, they transmit the signals through the wires. And so you're telling me that a camera records it, like it sees it, and the stuff goes into the camera, and then that footage goes in a wire, and the footage somehow travels through the wires and then goes up into like the cloud or whatever, through the cloud to my internet, from my internet or LTE, the Sprint tower or whatever, or AT&T or Verizon. I'm not doing free publicity for anybody here if they're not paying me. Through the tower, somehow, like neurons are transmitting this to my phone from a tower or a Wi-Fi, going through air to my phone, and there's a picture there. Now I'm watching golf. That's magic. That's stuff traveling through the... There's no way that's science. It's impossible. All right, so that doesn't exist. I'll try to get some more entertaining things. Next segment, this is called People Are Dumb. And so the last couple of days, I think it was Monday, when Anthony Davis requested for the trade, and then from the Pelicans, and then someone said there was tampering going on with Anthony Davis. He's now been fined $50,000. But going back to the segment, which is that people are dumb, and not taking shots at anybody, because, of course, I love ESPN, great organization, but they fell for this guy on Twitter, Shrekar at Shrieky Shooter, I believe. He's a funny guy. Make sure you give him a follower. But he tweets out some photoshopped images. The first one was it was a photoshopped image of like LeBron James like paying Anthony Davis $50,000. Like, no worries, bro, I got you covered. And then he photoshopped, Anthony Davis posted a picture of himself, and he photoshopped a comment from King James saying, "Sheesh, that sweater is fire emoji, fire emoji, fire emoji," 3 exclamation points. He goes, "You're killing it, bro, anyways." Muscle emoji. "See ya, Laker. Oops, that was a typo. I meant see ya later. Winky face, hashtag strive for greatness." And, it was well done Photoshop, but SportsCenter thought it was real, put it up on SportsCenter. They're like, so Anthony Davis is in trouble, and now look, King James, LeBron James is posting stuff in the comments. Like, that's certainly tampering. And then it was discovered that it was just this guy's Photoshop job, and he made it on SportsCenter. So good for him for getting that done. All right, we're gonna close out the show with the fun fact of the week. I actually have 2, because the first one, this one from Sarah Catch, starts it off with she goes, "So not so fun fact." And just for those of y'all who are starting listening to the show, fun fact of the week, how I do it is I go on Twitter, I look up fun fact, and the first thing that pops up, I read, and it's our fact of the day. So fun fact of this week from at Sarah Catch says, "So not so fun fact, when exposed to chemical scents, usually perfume/cologne, little bumps will appear under my eyelids, making it feel like I've perpetually got something in my eye. It's the, all caps, the most annoying thing." So at Sarah Catch, first of all, if someone's watching this, tag her in the comments or something like that. What are you doing putting perfume or cologne under your eye? I've never heard of that technique. Normally it's like neck or underarms. I don't know. But not under your eye. I've never been like, "Ooh, your eyes smell good." But she has little bumps. So since that was a not so fun fact, I got one more. This one from Toby1 Kenobi. Good name. Her weird it's at Tay with 2 eyes, Eba with 3 eyes. Again, y'all can tag her if you want. She made the fun fact of the week. Her fun fact, she said, "Fun fact, newsflash, Gary got a girlfriend. Things look pretty serious. Also, newsflash, slightly jealous." So whoever Gary is, congratulations. That's a big accomplishment. Maybe based off this tweet, the fact that she's tweeting about Gary getting a girlfriend means Gary's probably had some problems with girls, or Gary's an ex, which is why she would say slightly jealous. Not exactly sure what's going on here with at Tay with 2 eyes, Eba with 3 eyes. Again, somebody tag her if you want to in the comments. But she's a little jealous because Gary's got a girlfriend. and things look pretty serious. So I'm going to say, maybe I'll reach out to her and see if I was right. I'm going to say that what's going on here is Gary's an ex, and the fact that Gary now has a girlfriend makes her jealous because she's an ex, and it's the whole situation. So that was Fun Fact of the Week, and that's all we got today here on the Thomas Fitch Sports Show. Make sure you tune in next week. Have another great episode. Then anyways, from the Thomas Fitch Sports Show, I'm Thomas Fitch. Hook 'em horns. Let go of everything.